Well, I'm back. It's been some time. It's been about 2 weeks, I guess. Things are crazy right now. Let me show you first of all what I'm working with here. So I always have a cat, a foster cat parent, and always have new ones in the picture on top of my regular contingent of cats. And these guys here, I can barely even see them because it's so dark. See if I can show him. Here. Check this guy out. This is Bernard. Remember from the movie The Santa Claus, Santa's head elf was Bernard. So whenever we get cats, usually around the holidays, which we always get them around Halloween, we name them like Halloween themed names, and we thought Bernard the elf is cool. And then his brother is Cannoli. Cannoli is a psycho. I don't really know why Cannoli, my daughter named him, but Cannoli is insane. So the problem is, if you can see this little guy here, Bernard. So the deal with Bernard is he's actually going to go to a family, but they are essentially feral, so they need to be socialized. And so we brought them here to hang out with our cats, and we need to, we have to play with them and pet them because it's tough work, but somebody has to do it to socialize them. So we have him, and then this little meatball here. This is Cannoli. Yep, he peeped. Cannoli is a psycho. Bernard, he hasn't really been feeling so good still. He's getting better, but he doesn't want to play as much. So Cannoli is like desperate to beat up his brother. And we're not 100% ready to let them out of this room, which is their quarantine, to play with my cat. So if I scream in pain because Cannoli bit the crap out of me, that's why. Because he desperately needs to play, and his brother is still kind of anemic and weak. They were flea-ridden, flea-riddled critters. And so yeah, that's that. So if you see these little black shadows in the picture, or hear me cry out because somebody bit me to the bone, that's what happened. Now, how are things for people out in the world? It's Christmas time, which, how did that happen? In like a week now. And man, life's been so chaotic. So I've been working on a few projects, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But first of all, I got a deer a few weeks ago, I think I said, and I've been gutting it, or I processed it, gut it and stuff, and now I got to get another one before the season ends, like the late firearm. So that's been cutting into time recording. And then my new project, which I've talked about before, in case you're not aware, I'm a historian. That's my main job. I'm Dr. Jesse Roberts. History is my major focus for a vocation. I'm a writer too, so it's writing and research and history, and then this, just like content creating. But I've been working on a Civil War medicine podcast, but in conjunction with that, a course on Civil War medicine, which will be available on my website. Probably not for a month for the course, but the podcast is about to take off. I've been talking about it forever. I keep pushing it back because there's so much to talk about. And oh great, he's climbing up my leg right now. Okay, yeah. So it's been, I got that going on, and then shut this speaker off. Okay, and so the podcast, though, will be out, and then the course will be available on the website within probably the month, which, I got to make a living, so it'll probably be around $50 if that interests you. I mean, it's as in-depth as you can go for a surface level, for a basic overall coverage of Civil War medicine. If that sounds fascinating to you, it'll be available. I will link it when it's ready. So as a preview for you, just think, if this is interesting to you, hear me and sit when I say everything that you probably think you know about Civil War medicine is likely wrong. And I don't want to say that in a way like you're just not. No, it's because lately the recent discoveries about the Civil War have shown that Civil War medicine represented the total advancement of American medical science. It began with the Civil War, and Medical education before the Civil War was not just this like rudimentary school for butchers. Lots of interesting stuff. And all the rapid change that came about during the 1800s in medicine all culminated with at the Civil War. It was just came to a head there and changed everything about American medicine, American medical science. So if that sounds like something you want to learn more about, then you should check out my stuff when it's ready, and I'll let you know. Right now, the podcast episode I'm working on was something I went back on, and I've written books about Civil War medicine, so I'm covering the war, but I also wanted to go into the pre-war phase, talking about the War of 1812 and the Mexican-American War and the the Indian Wars. All right, will you stop? This is already going to be a nuisance. And that's what I wanted to cover in this, because I wanted to show how it kind of reflected what happened later on in the war. So if that's really been the holdup with the podcast, is because I decided to go back earlier and start there instead of just jumping around for you. But that'll be out soon. I'll let you know. In the last few weeks of chaos, so much has happened, but it's like, since the election, things just seem kind of, I don't know, kind of feel like I needed a break. I'm sure lots of people feel that way. So I was kind of happy to jump back down on my history wagon, because it's like such a relaxing place for me. I know, studying Civil War medicine, right? Such a relaxing place for me to do my historical research, though, and just kick back and kind of like escape from the world around me to a degree. Hunting's been like that, but as long as my history research and writing. But I'm ready to jump back on it. I kind of just needed that break for a couple weeks. It's time. So since I've been gone, we have the crap going on with Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense nominee, where the West Point is lying to the American people about his acceptance to the academy after being asked twice, I believe. You have UFOs, or sorry, drones. You have, oh man, I don't even know anymore. I got to look back on all the stories. You have Zuckerberg and Bezos and other big tech companies giving money to Trump's inaugural, I guess his inaugural campaign or whatever, giving him money for his inauguration. You have the shooting of that United Healthcare CEO. You have the leftists applauding it, sickeningly enough. So many places this could go. Now, last week I wrote a newsletter available on my website if you are interested. I haven't done much writing in the political space this last couple of weeks. I've been so focused on my history stuff. You may ask why that takes precedent, because that's really how I got to get paid right now, because my wife's in med school. I can't have a whole full-time job while she's doing clinicals, really. I can work from home. So I kind of need something I can do. I want to teach, but not at a university. So this is the best way I can do it. And I want to write, and this is the best way I can do it, right? And so that's why it's kind of had to take precedent, because money is kind of necessary right now for most people to live, me included. So I've kind of held off on doing this stuff too because of that, because it's like, so I got to look back and see what I talked about. Lots of stuff going around X. And I wanted to see, going back here, man, some of this is just going back to a little bit too far. Kittens are crunching on some food down there. All right, let me pull up my newsletter from last week. I know this might seem outdated to you, but this is what I got tonight, because why not, Still stuff that's relevant, always. Here we go. All right. Christopher Wray stepping down from the FBI. All right, the closure of the Global Engagement Center. Talk about that. And among other things. So how's everybody else doing right now with the whole Christmas season? Because it feels insane how fast it goes by. I just, it blows my mind. You know, it's like you have Thanksgiving and you're like, okay, I got all the time in the world to sort through all my Christmas stuff and, you know, and do all the Christmas shopping I need. And it's like, no, dude, it's like in a week. So pretty crazy. So can we talk about the drones real quick? What the hell is going on with this? Why has this not been dealt with? And what are they? There's very clearly a need for an explanation here from somebody, and somebody is not giving us that explanation. Trump demands the government explain drone sightings or shoot them down, and he refuses to go over to New Jersey in the meantime, because, you know, why should he? We don't know what the hell these things are. And I've heard numerous stories about this where pilots will fly up to them and they just disappear. And they're massive. I guess I just don't understand. We are a country that spends more money than any other nation in the world on our defense. We have what one would hope is the most sophisticated weaponry in the world, which I'm sure we don't. Okay, I'm not stupid. I just think that we should for all the money we spend on it, but we have some pretty sophisticated stuff. You know, we kind of rule the world in the big tech space. Why the hell can we not find answers as to what this is? Is it because they already have the answers and they don't care about telling us? Or they don't want to tell us? Or they can't tell us? Is anybody else creeped out by this? I'm sure you know, millions of people are, but it's starting to at first I was just like, who cares? This is stupid. What do I care? Last week, the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security, this is just a few days ago, they claimed they have no evidence drone sightings over New Jersey are a national security threat. That makes me feel really comfortable and confident that they are telling me the truth. Because these are organizations that are they are beyond truthful. There's nobody more truthful and trustworthy than the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security. No evidence, right? Do you remember there was a major event that happened a few months ago in Pennsylvania, where a certain political candidate almost had his life taken away by a bullet, and the FBI was looking into it, and whatever happened to that? Oh, nothing. And the director of the FBI went in front of Congress and for no reason said, well, we don't even know if it was a bullet that hit him or not, just to stir the pot. That's the same FBI that's telling you that they have no evidence that drone sightings are a national security threat. You know, Department of Homeland Security, the very same that's letting millions of people flood our borders, and they're lying to us about it. They're lying to us about who they let in. They say there's no imminent threat here. So you should feel safe and comfortable. I don't want to jump on the whole conspiracy theory bandwagon here, but what do y'all think about this potential nuclear warhead story that has been going around, making the rounds? That they're either on the hunt for a missing nuclear warhead or something like that. I don't know what to believe anymore with this crap. Do you believe in aliens? Do you believe in UFOs? Do you believe that these are foreign drones? Not of this world or from another country? certainly seems like it could be coming from abroad there. Now, I really wanted to talk about this here. Where did it go? I'm trying to get back to being more active on X here. I got to get my my 5 million impressions so I can get monetized. I have enough subscribers, enough followers, I guess. But I got to get monetized, everybody. I need to make a living, and I need help. So if you want to get, throw some impressions my way, that would be greatly appreciated. So yesterday, man, it feels like just yesterday felt like 10 years ago. The Senate Judiciary Committee put this out on an X account that says, breaking. A group of Senate Democrats introduced a bill to abolish the Electoral College, restoring democracy by allowing the direct election of presidents through popular vote alone. This, excuse me, is extremely concerning to me. First of all, they claim they're going to restore democracy by allowing us to elect a president through popular vote alone. Mind you, we never were a democracy. We are not a democracy. Democracy was never the intended model for this country, and you were not going to restore us to a democracy because we never were one. Why would it matter at this point, considering how many votes? I mean, Trump, like, really, what he must have dominated the popular vote. Let's see. Presidential election. As of right now, yeah. If you recall it today, like as far as the popular vote goes, he has 77,269,243 votes. She has 74,983,555 votes. Okay, can you guys, ouch. Dude, he bites so hard. He really needs his brother to beat up on, because the little meatball cannoli, man, he is a biter, and he bites super hard. Hey, all right, get down. Kittens are fun, but when you have one that's a really, really, really psycho, this word of advice for you: if you get a kitten and you're like, man, my kitten is insane, like he's a psycho, he's biting, he's being destructive, get him a friend. It will solve 90% of your problems. I know it's like, I don't want to have 2 cats, but dude, 1 kitten alone, it's kind of miserable. And my situation right now is, as he creeps up on me, is like his brother doesn't really have the energy to play as much, so this guy has to get it out. And it's just like, run and bite, run and bite, run and bite. Anyways, so back to my statement about here he comes. Here comes the little shark. Terrifying. When you're talking about abolishing the Electoral College, so you see there, Trump would have won the popular vote. He would have won the presidential election. Now people claim, oh, well, he didn't get 50% of the votes. Really? It didn't matter. Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. That was always a talking point forever, and she didn't get 50% of the votes in 2016. So I guess she didn't get the majority then. When you're talking about abolishing the Electoral College, there's just so many things wrong with this. You are setting up, they're setting up a system where they can just ballot harvest their way to an election, to winning it. And the Democrats have been really good at this. But in another hand, this 2024 election, Republicans got proactive. They had their people in the field. You have people like Scott Presler, but he's not the only one. For the first time, I think, in my life, it seems like the Republican Party was the more modernized party when it came to handling the election. And they, Trump was doing all the podcasts. They weren't really involved in corporate media at all, as they shouldn't have been, because corporate media is a joke, and corporate media had it out for them and was never going to give them paint them in a positive light. But what? Come here, buddy. So, dude, never gonna paint them in a positive light. He's being terrifying. He's darting back and forth on the floor. Oh man, kitten zoomies. Let me save you from your brother's wrath. Yeah, you're being crazy. You're so cute. He has a cute little head. Where you going, bud? Oh boy. Kitten on my desk. No stuff on my keyboard, okay? But going forward, the idea of a true democracy is it's a dangerous thing. There's a reason why we have the Electoral College. There's a reason why we have a separate branches of government. All these things are checks and balances that are needed to ensure that you don't have mob rule. And I can't, in case you weren't aware, the left is seeming pretty terrifying these days. As much as they want to harp on the right and say, oh, they're dictators and fascists and whatever, they're going to be the violent domestic extremists, like those those Catholics and stuff, like they said. The reality of it is the violent side is not the right. Okay. And if you want to imagine what a mob rule in the future would look like, imagine what it looked like if the left ran everything, had it their way. It would be, it's interesting how for as much as these people harp on potential grasp of complete power coming from someone like Donald Trump, they sure seem hell-bent on finding any way possible to make it that way. And they know they're being hypocritical. I talk about this all the time. They don't see it as being hypocritical because in their minds, they are right about everything. They know they're right about everything. Even when the crap that they do doesn't work out and it shows that they're wrong, they still know they're right. And we're all just children and we need to be educated and schooled. So they need to do things their way. And if they get it their way, then they can just do whatever it takes to retain power indefinitely, because it's dangerous. The conservatives are dangerous. Christians are dangerous. The centrists are dangerous because they are not common sense people like the left is. They're not smart. Notice how there's a big thing going around right now after the election where they claim that only the uneducated people voted for Donald Trump, or educated people supported Kamala Harris. Well, it's interesting because I have a bachelor's and a master's and a PhD. I think I'm educated. I hope. And I didn't support Kamala Harris. So what's up with that? I must just be stupid, Listen, I don't really think that education means jack. It may seem weird coming from somebody that went as far as I did in school. If I had to do it all over again, I probably wouldn't. What are you doing back there, dude? Oh my goodness, he is way back there. I would probably just teach myself. Listen, it's hard to say this. Getting a bachelor's degree is completely worthless. It is worthless unless you're going into something practical. And getting my master's and my PhD in history, I learned so much. Oh my, look at this. Look at this dusty head. See this? Good gracious, where did you even go? Where did you even go? Oh, he's mad. He's mad. All right, go be a psycho. Ow, you're so crazy. Getting my master's and PhD was a very invaluable experience for learning how to research and write and do everything. I could have learned how to do it on my own. It would have been, probably a much longer process, but I'm not going to sit there and say that just because you're educated means you're smart. Doesn't mean anything. I don't normally walk around and I'm like in an argument with somebody like, well, I have a doctorate. You know, it's just irrelevant to me. You know, a lot of times in history circles as a historian, it does give you more credibility, I guess. Especially if you want certain jobs, like teaching jobs or even museum work or whatever. You need one if you want to do anything, which is why I did it. And then I realized I don't really need it because I'm just going to be an entrepreneur and work for myself and teach my own courses and write my own books and sell my own stuff. So from that standpoint, I don't think education is a barometer for an intellect. But they're telling you now that the uneducated people voted for Trump. They supported him. And only you were educated if you supported Kamala Harris. You're educated, cultured. Sharon Stone said, you know, Sharon Stone was that actress that was in a movie 100 years ago. A few of them. Casino, right? I think that's what she was in. Great movie. Great movie. But that was a long time ago now. But she said that people, you know, Trump supporters they're just not cultured people. They don't go out and see the world. Let's see. What other movies was she in? Oh, Alpha Dog. So creepy, like depressing movie. King Solomon's Mine. I don't know, movies I don't really watched. Catwoman. Huh. Yeah, a bunch of stuff I haven't seen. But you know, she's telling you that, you know, Trump supporters are not cultured. They're not people that get out and see the world. That's why they voted for him. Which makes no sense. So this idea that if you're truly educated, you'll see the right way in life because, you know, getting educated means something. You will see the path. Of course you will, because it's like a religion to these people. And if you do that, you will always just support the left. And in doing so, like if you decide not to, what are you doing, huh? Oh man, Bernard is playing. This is groundbreaking. He's been so lethargic and anemic, and it's good news. He's biting my jacket or my shirt. They love to bite buttons on stuff. Sorry if I'm super ADD tonight. The kittens are being playful and adorable. And here, go play with your brother. He wants to play. And now that you're all turned up. So if you're educated, you know, they need the stupid people in the world and the uneducated, they need the left to be their parents. Because if you get an education, that means that you know the right way things should be done. You are the pinnacle of intellect. And it's this thing with the world where you get an education, according to the left, you get an education and you're just set up to see the world in the right light, you know. There was a girl I worked with. I'm never going to name names, but I used to work. I was a pet store manager for years, and I used to do pet supplies, and I was a district manager, and I worked in pet supplies and stuff, and did pet nutrition, stuff like this. And I was a manager. There was a girl I worked with who had a graduate degree in a bachelor's, obviously, and she just wanted a part-time job, so she wanted to work for me as just a cashier at my pet store. So I was like, you know, whatever. So we hired her, and this is a girl who went to a Christian school as a kid. Her parents are teachers at Christian schools, and she went to college, and she saw the error of her parents' ways and became a leftist and a feminist and a pretty, I'd say a far leftist, you know, and would always talk about, you know, how going to college showed her the way. Going to college was the thing that opened her eyes to how evil and awful her parents' ideology was. I think that's how a lot of people view education. And so this whole play, going back to the whole thing with the Electoral College, abolishing the Electoral College, there are kittens on my leg right now that I'm afraid they're going to bite the piss out of me. All right, what are you doing? Who is this? Well, I'm glad they're both playing, because Bernard has not been playing. This is the way with abolishing the Electoral College. They'll get their opportunity to just show all the stupid, uneducated people how things should be done. They're not the uneducated and the conservatives. They're not trustworthy enough. They're not responsible enough to hold power. It's dangerous because they're so stupid and so we need to fix the system so that way going forward, Democrats will just always win. And notice how it's very convenient because with the push to let certain people vote in this country that shouldn't be voting, they going with a sheer popular vote system will benefit them. Plus, you're looking at things are going to change here with this current administration. If things follow through and they're going to be deporting people, they are going to have sanctuary cities and sanctuary states, and they're going to go to certain states that will get a set number of electoral votes. But if you have to win all these swing states, and these swing states are deporting people or people are leaving them that you could count in as future voters or whatever, I mean, you're talking about, that's a problem with the Electoral College in place. They've always had a problem with the Electoral College because a few times elections that didn't go their way, they won the popular vote and didn't win the Electoral College vote. But the Electoral College is there for a reason, because it's a check on power. And it's been a system that has worked. Whether or not you believe in it, you should never revere presidents anyways, but it has worked. And for this entire time this country's been in existence, and abolishing it will be detrimental, just like packing the Supreme Court will be detrimental. These things are going to be talked about, getting rid of the filibuster. I have a friend who he's a super conservative, he's a Trump supporter, big time conservative guy, very smart, very intelligent person. But now that conservatives have, or the Republicans, I keep calling conservatives, Republicans have the majority in the Senate and the House, he said, they should get rid of the filibuster. Just screw the Democrats over. And it's like, well, yeah, but 5 minutes ago when the Democrats had power, getting rid of the filibuster would have been detrimental to the Republicans. Like, we need to look further ahead than just 5 minutes or right now, And I think that's the thing the Democrats are not doing here, is they think that if they just get rid of this stuff or pack the Supreme Court or whatever, it can't be used. They're basically trying to take advantage of the last 10 minutes of Biden's tenure in office, which it's just, things are going to change. We live so much in the now in this country. We sacrificed our future. We've bled it dry in the name of short-term gains, especially in a political sense. How much money do we print today just in time for midterms, or, giving out earmarks for this thing because it will benefit me in an election? And we don't ever look at the long-term consequences of all this spending, all this terrible policy. We don't invest in future production at all, and now we're paying the price for that. Look at the student loan debt crisis. That was supposed to be like an immediate solution to people that couldn't afford education, caused a long-term permanent problem. People need to look further ahead. So if they want to go ahead and abolish the Electoral College and stuff, they're hoping that they will be able to gain a permanent foothold on whatever positions, whatever they can, and taking advantage of that, because otherwise they wouldn't do it. Because if it could somehow in their minds come back and bite them in the ass, they're not going to go through with that. I just don't think they understand the long-term implications of a move like this. Colin Rugg on X says, Democrats are realizing that they have a zero chance with the new electoral map, assuming electoral votes are distributed correctly. Republicans wouldn't need a single Rust Belt state or Nevada to win the election. new key toss-ups would be North Carolina, Georgia, and Arizona. So this may be just a complete last-ditch desperation effort to make things not fair, but just to give them an opportunity whatsoever. What they saw in this election was nothing we do works. We're getting our asses kicked on a regular basis. And this election was a mandate to change. And why did things have to change? Well, because Democrats' economic policy suck. Their cultural ideology sucks. Their domestic policy sucks. Their foreign policy sucks. Everything sucks to the point where people are done with it, and they don't have answers now. What is there? It used to be you were sacrificing certain things in the name of a cultural shift. That was always kind of what was real important to the Democrats, far more than the economy or anything like that. Just 1 second. All right, back. So the whole Democrat game is based off progressivism. How do I have to seize? Oh, great. I hate that. It's all based off progressivism. Progressivism is this idea that, people in society need a helping hand, and there should be a centralized power to distribute things in such a way that we can help people that would normally get left behind. Now, that's a great ideology in theory, right? It sounds so nice and warm and fuzzy, but it doesn't work. And this is proof of that. All it really does is give people an opportunity to centralize power. Gives government more control over our lives through regulation and things like that. So that policy doesn't work. And that's kind of the Democrat way. And from an economic standpoint, they fund their progressivism through Keynesian economics, it's this idea that government intervention in our economy is what ultimately will save us from future crises in economics, right? And that dumping money into our society via government spending somehow stimulates the economy, which it doesn't. And this is proof of that these several financial setbacks we lived through with massive spending beyond anything anybody can fathom, and we get nothing for it but more financial downfall. So people rejected that outright in this election. This is it. People are done. And they don't have, what do they do now? They can't pivot. They can't pivot back because a lot of their old policies are now conservative policies. They're what? They can't be the anti-war party because their constituents like war. They can't be the, Make America Healthy party because that's not who they are anymore. They can't be the anti-censorship party because they're pro-censorship. They can't be the anti-big government party because they are pro-big. So it's like they have nothing they can pivot to that works because people are done with those things. Americans are done with war. They're done with censorship. They're done with the centralization of government. They're done with big government. I know Trump's a populist and he's probably a big government populist, but I think lesser to a degree when it comes to control than what's currently happening. Oh my goodness. Okay, don't bite me, please. So they just don't, they have no policies that work and they know that, and they have no answers. So they have to rig the game in a way that they can maintain power. If you have to maintain power when you know nothing you do works, then it's all just about power. That's all they care about. Don't care about anything else. Okay, so I want to talk about this real quick. Let me put on my headphones so I can hear what this clown has to say. Mitch McConnell, thank God he's about to be done. Well, not about to be done, but he will no longer have a major position of power in the Republican Party, at least a leadership position. He has arguably one of the worst mindsets for the conservatives, in my opinion. And I don't know, dude, who can listen to this guy talk and be like, wow, he's inspirational. I don't know. I watch somebody like this and I have to ask myself, how did he ever win anything? How did he ever win an election? He's not charismatic. He's awful. He's like that. He sounds like that, like, you know, like a chemistry teacher or chemistry professor that you would dread to listen to or something like that. You know, just somebody that would just no enthusiasm, terrible takes on everything. So here it is. Mitch McConnell. Wahoo.
Reagan once led so capably, it is increasingly fashionable to suggest that the sort of global leadership he modeled is no longer America's slaves. But let's be absolutely clear. America will not be made great again by those who are content to manage our decline. So how do we turn back this tide? How do we renew a firm American commitment to peace through strength?
Oh my, it's just shut up.
As I take on my next role as chairman of the Defense Appropriations Subcommittee,
yay, can't wait for that.
That I'll be focused on.
Pushing more money away on war.
Would be rooted in the centrality of hard power and the importance of alliances and partnerships. Things our party at present understood all too well. It means standing with friends in need, whether they're resisting neo-Soviet imperialism in Ukraine, ran back terrorist slaughter in Israel,
neo-Soviet imperialism,
hegemony in the Indo-Pacific. And we'll have to bring back into focus another lesson of President Reagan's leadership, and that is the link between capability and credibility. The 40th Commander-in-Chief knew that changing Soviet behavior required both the military capability to prevent or punish hostile action and the will to exercise this power and follow through on threats.
Okay, give me a break. Does it, like, who's buying into this anymore? It's just so unbelievably infuriating to me. Okay, so of course he is a Reagan era politician. When did Mitch McConnell come into office? Let's do a history lesson here with Professor Roberts. Mitch McConnell, Professor Roberts says, "1985. So Mitch McConnell, whoa, want to see this picture? Hold up. Check out this wicked haircut. Hey, stop it. Oh, brother. Kitten distraction. Look at this flat top. Look at that. I wonder if he talks like this when he was in high school, when he wore that flat top. I'm Mitch McConnell, bitch. So Mitch McConnell's been a senator since 1985. So he's a Reagan era senator. So the world's changed a lot since Ronald Reagan was president. The Soviet Union no longer is a thing. And America has looked like an ass on a world stage several times since then. We had the so-called forever wars of the 21st century that were just nothing short of a complete failure. We have dumped billions of dollars, trillions of dollars into wars overseas that we are fighting by proxy. And there's a way you have to look at this from a different perspective than you are as if Reagan is still in office, McConnell. Like, you can't just, we need to do peace through strength, and that stuff doesn't do anything. America has been doing peace through strength since World War II. And we lost the Vietnam War. We lost the wars of the 21st century. We have not maintained peace globally because of peace through strength. This is something that dates back to like the neoconservatives. My goodness, cat. He is just going to town on whatever that is. What are you doing? I'm so paranoid he's going to unplug my router. If that happens, I am going to freak out. So, you know, we've failed. The peace through strength thing, it just doesn't work. And supporting our allies overseas, and there's a lot of problems with this. First of all, it would be different if our alliances, people in our alliances actually, you know, chipped in what we chip in. Whenever there's a major conflict of some kind, you know, we have a one of our allies is in trouble. It's just America foots the bill. We foot the bill for everything. With NATO, you know, we pay for most of it. And there's something that comes from that, and it's control. When Mitch McConnell talks about, oh, it's peace through strength. No, it's control through military power. When the United States is the world's military, the world's big brother that protects everybody, it gives us more negotiating power globally. And of course, it's all about, you know, stopping China, stopping, what did he call it, a neo-Soviet imperialism. My goodness, cat. All right, come here. Hey. Here. All right. Hold on, I gotta take that away before he destroys it. The problem is with this stuff is America's overplayed their hand too much. If you think about this dating back to like when Bush was in office, what I was getting at with the neoconservatives, there was a thing after 9/11 where basically George Bush wanted to, he publicly stated that anybody that would dare challenge America's power will be met with force. It's a threat to the world. And I think, unfortunately, that our bluff has been called. Because if you really are going to truly be enough of a threat that nobody's going to screw with you, you need to have the capability to hold your own. And our military is not this elite fighting force. Which, the way that someone like Mitch McConnell talks, you would think that we'd have the most badass military in the entire world that would just, nobody would want to screw with. And yeah, we have a nuclear arsenal. But this peace through strength crap didn't deter Putin from invading Ukraine. And you could send Ukraine all the money and weapons and give them all the support you want. But it's not going to change the underlying reason why all this is going on. And the reason why this is going on is because of peace through strength. Because of a larger push to, you know, expand NATO, which didn't need to exist after the Soviet Union collapsed. But that's what they want to do. They want to expand it, and it's this idea that you don't mess with America, you don't mess with our military, but we get to do whatever we want. And anything you decide to do to counter us will be met with massive repercussions. It doesn't matter, though, that doesn't work. That when America does get involved, it doesn't do anything. Look at, you know, the way we treated the Vietnam War and Iraq and Afghanistan. Very similar. You know, we didn't just go through and conquer the country. So we did sweep through Iraq, you know, at the beginning of the war and knock out Saddam's forces. But then when we occupied, we were basically setting them up to go, okay, well, you guys are going to be this great American-like democracy and everything's going to be perfect. That's what we tried to do in Vietnam. We tried to set them up to defend themselves from communism. And when we left the nations, like we did in Afghanistan or we did in Vietnam, they fell in a second. So peace through strength doesn't really work when the minute you leave, it shows that everything you just did was for nothing, and everything you just did got toppled and destroyed in minutes. It's like, this is just not the way of the future. Mitch McConnell is just so apt to piss away money in Ukraine for no reason. I talked about this the other day, I guess a few weeks ago now. The push, when Biden was giving Ukraine permission to launch U.S. weapons into Russia, and we can't give up any ground. We have to push harder. We have to fight. And it's like, what's the end goal of this? The end goal is what? To fight this war for eternity until it just both sides run out of men or soldiers, I guess. Sorry, not just men and women. Or Ukraine's going to push Russia's forces out and back into Russia completely, and or Russia's going to have to take out Ukraine entirely. Those are your options. Or you have a negotiated peace, which these people like Mitch McConnell will not allow to happen. What's the point of this? What's the point of peace through strength anymore when it doesn't work? Don't you think it's maybe time for a new policy? Something that we haven't been doing for 60, 70 years? Hey, stop. There's room for change. These establishment holdouts don't want to change because this is the system they've benefited for so long. And it's just, it's time for people to think of something else. You don't have to completely ditch your stupid overseas wars. You don't have to be an isolationist entirely. Do I prefer that? Yes, but you don't have to be. Just whatever the hell you're doing doesn't work anymore. It's time to rethink things. It feels so desperate, and it also feels like we're just on the verge of something terrible happening. It just reminds me of on the cusp of World War I. Go look at a 1914 map of the world for the most part, but Europe especially. What do you have? The German Empire, the Russian Empire, the British Empire, the Ottoman Empire, the Kingdom of Italy, the Kingdom of this, the Kingdom of this is an ancient system of government clinging on. And it comes to a head and culminates in this massive, pointless conflict that could have been avoided and happened due to egos, basically, and a desperate desire to survive, the desperate desire for empire to survive, for kingdoms to survive, for monarchies to survive, and it just ended in a disaster. At that point in time, the most violent conflict in human history, and then it made way to the most violent conflict in human history after that. But it just reminds me of that time right before World War I started. We're just teetering on the cusp of something terrible to happen unless we come up with something new, a new solution to change things. And people like Mitch McConnell, they don't have new ideas. Everything's just the same. Spend more money, it'll solve the problem. Send more bombs to this country, it'll solve the problem. There's no future in this. it just, I can't do it with these people anymore. I can't listen to this guy talk once again about how Donald Trump's going to screw us all over because he doesn't want to get involved in every war overseas. So, I talked about it briefly last time in the in my newsletter about just moving on to the next thing here. But the Global Engagement Center has basically been shuttered. They're going to, of course, repurpose the people that work in the Global Engagement Center and ship them elsewhere. In case you're not aware of what the Global Engagement Center is, it was something founded in 2016 to combat terrorism and extremism online, especially centered on ISIS. Now, the people that created the Global Engagement Center then expanded its duties. These cats are psycho. To handle China and Russia and Iran, all of our enemies. But it moved beyond that. And the Global Engagement Center regularly contacted companies like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. They were in contact with people in these companies about basically countering foreign propaganda. Ow, ow, ow. Okay, dude. You're too much. All right. See ya. Good God. And they eventually ended up targeting, American content creators. And they regularly worked with, nonprofits who also worked in the misinformation and disinformation countering space. So American taxpayer dollars were funneled to the GEC, which then was used to help other corporations and other organizations, not just in America, but abroad, censor Americans. They partner with things like the Election Integrity Partnership, the Global Disinformation Index, which are huge proponents of global censorship. Now, of course, the GEC is a pet project of the State Department, and our State Department, the American State Department, is the largest censorship complex in the world. Is handled by our State Department. Oh man, this kitten is being terrifying and psycho. And our State Department really has labeled populism, so like Trump's movement, as something truly dangerous. And the State Department that funds the Global Engagement Center also helped fund things like Media Matters, which is a media watchdog that would flag media stories as misinformation. And this is all part of a global push to censor people. Now, Mike Benz was on the Joe Rogan Experience a few weeks ago now. I know I've been out of the loop for so long. He is the guy on this topic. Listen to that episode. It is just incredible. He is a machine in that episode. Just the recall, the ability. He knows every nuance of this subject. It's his life. And this was the mothership for the censorship regime. And it's being shuttered because they need $100 million in funding. And since Trump's administration it will be very unlikely that he gives them the funding they need, they're going to have to shutter this thing. Of course, the people that work there are just going to get reassigned elsewhere. But this should be seen as a major win, assuming that it just doesn't get, relegated to some other thing that's going to end up, censoring more people. So I think it's safe to say that the anti-state type movement is waning. You can be pro government. Sure, that's your prerogative. But if you're pro censorship and you're pro government overreach and all these things, then we can't be friends. Sorry. I know. Bummer. We can be friends, though, if you're anti-government censorship, anti-centralized power. And I think that these things, like the GEC being shuttered, shows that the movement is going in the right direction. And Mike Benz, in fact, on X, was saying also, oh boy, kittens are killing each other now. It's so adorable when they kill each other. That organizations that he is actually the Harvard Kennedy School Belfer Center for Science and International Affairs, the Defending Digital Democracy program, is gone. And it's something he's exposed. These things are working. And they know that if they continue down this road of censoring people and expanding their censorship complex in the United States of America, they will be on the wrong side of history for the first time in their lives. Things seem like they're perking up and looking up and moving in the right direction, like this tweet right here. Trump wins a $15 million settlement from ABC in a defamation suit after George Stephanopoulos claimed that Trump was found liable for rape. So more things moving in the right direction. Now he has to help pay for Trump's presidential library, or ABC does. And of course there was stupid comments about this. Let me find if I can find it here. Where did it go? Where did it go? Maybe I commented on it. Let me see. There was like something else about somebody was talking about how it was such a hit to journalism. Where did it go? What is happening? Will you two get along? My goodness. Okay, hey, be nice. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Okay, so is this tweet right here from someone called Sarah Reese Jones. Apparently she's got a Substack. What? Want to come up here? All right, here, I'll protect. Want me to protect you from your psycho brother, who's clearly got way too much energy right now? Kittens in their energy, man. Hey. Yep, you're gonna have to pass it. What? Why are you crying? ABC's decision will have a chilling effect on what is reported about the Trump and his administration over the next 4 years. We foolish to pretend that this lawsuit settlement won't have consequences for informing the American people. And the title of the article here is ABC Guts Press Freedom by essentially bribing Trump with $15 million. That's what this is, according to the media. Like this, this was all fake. This was not fair. They should have been able to defame Trump all they wanted, and it should have been completely legal. Fair game to defame him. And if you're not allowed to defame him, that's a hit to journalism. It's a hit to freedom of press, and it's dangerous too. You don't be allowed to inform the American people anymore. I'm so tired of this like condescending, just like this like they treat you like you're like a stupid child, and it's dangerous unless they get their way. Because if you don't go by what they say, it's just going to it's going to be real bad for the world. We're not capable of taking care of ourselves unless we let like the real media do their job. They're the smart kids that are capable of doing their job, and anybody that isn't just part of corporate media, they're not capable of doing that, according to these idiots. To claim that ABC's settlement with Trump is a bribe and it's going to just destroy the ability for journalists to do their job is an outright lie. It's not a bribe. You lied several times from the standpoint of corporate news, and they do it all the damn time. But it was a pretty egregious lie. And I would hate to, next to murder, what's worse? There are few things in the world that are worse than being dude, worse than the insinuation that you were I don't know what this clown was saying Trump was doing. There are worse things, sure, but being accused of that is pretty heinous. And if you didn't do that, and there's no judgment saying you did, was it some civil thing that was he was like railroaded? I mean, that whole trial was a joke. But this whole ordeal with that, it's pretty amazing to claim that, well, because we can't just say whatever we want. That's dangerous, and it's a problem for journalists. Journalism is corporate media journalism is on its way out the door because you all did this to yourselves, because you lie so damn much and so egregiously that you're ending your own thing. You're ending your own industry. It's over because of what you did. And you're going to say, what's going to hurt it even more is that you just can't lie about Trump anymore. Dude, you guys have done nothing but lie about the guy for 8 years. And you just finally now have to pay your price for some of the lies. What was Alex Jones' settlement that he had to pay out? It was it was over $1 billion. And well, he just has to pay it because he got what was coming. But if some corporate media anti-Trump idiot just makes up shit, that's he should be allowed to do that. I just, these people, just the self-importance baffles me. Like somehow journalists are so important that we should just close off all communication to the outside world and just listen to them. Like they should just be the middleman that we go through for all of our information. And that's a push that they're going, internet. I talked about this weeks ago, that it was like the World Economic Forum and some others. Man, your brother is wound up, isn't he? Here, you want me to pick you up and save you? They were claiming that, or it was the UN or something. It was like 60% of people post things on X without fact checking it first, and that's just dangerous. It's dangerous for democracy. Misinformation is the most dangerous thing for precious democracy. So we should just block off all other information unless it comes from a verified, certified corporate news site, which left-wing sites are the only ones that are ever seen as legitimate or credible. I sent it for ground news, which it's okay. I don't know if I'd do it again. I was excited about it, the idea of it. Ground News is an app that helps you find like media biases in different publications. There's a thing called the blind spot where you can see like when it's surrounding certain stories, where publications with certain political leanings are reporting, and where there's a blind spot for an opposing political ideology. So let's say like only right-wing sources are publishing this story, left-wing there's none. And it's cool because a story comes up and it gives you the rundown and it shows you the links to every single article about that for that story. My qualm with it is, though, they base what is deemed a factual news source off of what look like some like left-wing watchdog groups, because every conservative or even like centrist site, it's like mixed factuality, low factuality, etc. And then if you look at corporate news sites that tend to lean left, even some far left ones, they're highly factual or very highly factual. It's just such a bias, you know, and it's just a flat out lie. There's no way that's the reality that we live in, where those sites are deemed, you know, highly factual. It's just a load of crap. So don't sit there and you know, and pretend that we need this wall where only people we get information through are journalists, because they will try to sell you that they're the only ones that are highly factual. Look, we're rated this way. And claiming that it's such a disservice to the American people now that, you know, you can't just make up shit about Trump anymore, shows why the media, nobody watches it or listens to it or cares about it. That's just the reality. So, all right, sorry if this seemed kind of rambling or kind of like all over the place. I got to get back into it. I've just, I don't know. I've been so out of the loop lately. My brain is just overwhelmed with information, especially surrounding other stuff I'm working on. If you would like to help me out, subscribe to my channel, or, you know, follow me on X, or, you know, follow me on other social media. Links are below. I really appreciate you listening to this. I will be back tomorrow, probably. I think that, you know, I'll try to do a little bit more research or a little bit more preparation, because this was just kind of like, I want to get back into it and do something, so it's kind of off the cuff. And my psychotic kittens are not helping me focus. But, yeah, overall, world's been a crazy place. It's, we're getting near the end of the year. Things are just going to get crazier like they always do. But stay safe out there. I don't know what the hell's going on with the world with, you know, drones and changing of the guard in our government, and the wars, you know, the escalation of war. But I feel hopeful that things are going to get better. I mean, having somebody competent, not even competent, somebody with a brain that works running things might be a nice change of pace. But I think overall that, you know, I feel hopeful this Christmas. I do. This Christmas season, it's nice to feel hopeful for a change. It'd be nice if, you know, there were jobs out there that I could get, but, you know, whatever. I'll get there eventually. So if you want to help me out, you know, check out my course when it comes out. Check out my podcast, my Civil War Medicine podcast, if that's interesting to you. I am going to start doing more history courses, history content. Takes a lot of research. This is something I've been working on since I graduated with my PhD in June. I wanted to do it, you know, I wanted to give you the lowdown on Civil War medicine from as if you're sitting in my classroom, which means I want to go as deep as I can, make it worth your while. So that's going to happen. I will have more courses coming out, more podcasts about history. I like doing this too. Political stuff's fun, but, you know, got to pay the bills. So in the meantime, I will be back tomorrow. Thanks for watching and listening, and please subscribe. And oh, kitten's getting sleepy. He's gonna bite me if I pet him. Yep, it always turns into bites. Have a good night. Bye.